welcome back to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting dodo birds and leaky black. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button like you're Brandon Davies. And if you're one of us and you're watching live, I need you to put that in the chat. If you're one of us and you're watching after the fact, you can put that in the comments. If you're one of us, don't be ashamed to let the world know it's 2025. Matt Norlander is here with me. Let's get into it. It's Sunday. It's November 2nd, which means it's college basketball season eve. We'll get underway on Monday. We have one top 25 matchup on the schedule, so watch yourself. Monday Night Football, Florida and Arizona coming for you. Norlander, it's good to see you. My shoulder is better.
Okay.
Thanks for asking. Special shouts to steroid packs. Man, I understand better than ever what them baseball players were doing back then, in the late 90s and stuff. It makes complete sense. I get it. I've been on steroids. I feel good. The offseason is just about over. The regular season is here. Based on what you'd call, say, an average college basketball season, are you more excited or less excited or, about as excited as you usually are heading into the start of this 2025-26 college basketball season?
You find me caught amidst a sports emotional avalanche at the moment because I cannot wait. I think this is going to be an incredible college basketball season, way better than average. My hopes and expectations for this season are about as high as you could possibly expect them going in. We are about 25 minutes removed from one of the 5 wildest wins of the Chicago Bears existence ever. I did not even change. I don't think I've ever rocked one of my 5 or 6 Bears gamers on the pod before. I didn't even change out of my Gale Sayers jersey here. Somehow they got the win. The Packers lost. The Lions lost. The World Series was ridiculous. And here we are. College basketball is less than 24 hours away. I love doing this final show before the season starts because we got a lot of good goodies here. And I know we're going to run off our final 4 predictions here at the top and not save them for the back end of the show. But just to burrow a little bit into what you just laid out there, I've mentioned, I think, once or twice on the pods before. And apologies if the voice is a little rough here. I was screaming at my television for like an hour.
We teach. My little guy's an 8-year-old football, and among the first things we teach is, guy, you got to wrap up. I mean, you got to wrap up. I mean, he's professional football player.
Chicago and Cincinnati, both of you, but thank God for Colston Loveland. And it took Caleb Williams 3.5 hours to make a huge play with his arm. Finally did it. But anyway, so hopefully my voice will hold up over the course of an hour here. An hour plus. We're giving you a special one here. I just think we're going to get a college hoop season that is just loaded with storylines and stars and reliably great teams and reliably great coaches. And then we are going to get, who knows what they're going to be? The surprise is fun every year. We're going to get some teams that by mid-November, late November, Christmas time, we're kind of scratching our heads like, okay, why is this not worked? Why was this team preseason top 5 or preseason top 10? And suddenly they're out of the rankings or it's just not working. I do think it's going to be a tremendous college basketball season. And, one more reason why, again, I think you and I are of the same expectation. And I really, really don't want this to be right, but it is not lost on me as we podcast here on the eve of the 2025-6 season. This also might be the last time we ever prepare to start a season knowing there will have a 68-team tournament attached to it. I think it's a real possibility that we have a tournament that's 76 teams by 2027. That decision is not in. That decision is not final. We don't know when that decision is going to get made. I certainly hope cooler heads prevail. But it also, as we ready for this might be the last time that we start a campaign, if you will, with the tournament at its most reasonable size that's out there.
I don't know if I'm caught up in a moment. I don't think I am, but I find myself here on college basketball season eve more excited than usual. I think I'm looking more forward to this season than I normally am. I mean, I'm always looking forward to the season because, frankly, we have a long off season and it can get a little, I don't know, something consistently talking about what we think as opposed to reacting to what we see. And we've been doing that for several months. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we still got to talk. We still have things we have to say and things we have to write, regardless of whether basketball games are being played. Everybody else can clock out as sports fans and say, well, it's baseball season now or it's football season now. But, for us, it's college basketball season on some level, 12 months a year. But starting tomorrow, we get stuff to watch and then to react to. And I just think this season, at least on paper, has so many awesome storylines that it's impossible that some of these are not going to emerge in real ways that we talk about every week until we crown a champion in April. Just, off the top of my head, you got Rick Pitino, very reasonably trying to win a third national championship at a third school. You've got UConn trying to win a third national title in a 4-year span. You got Florida trying to go back-to-back. So, like, historically significant things connected to all three of those programs, and all three are preseason top 10. At least 3 incredible freshmen are all playing for title contenders. Darren Peterson at KU, AJ Debonsa at BYU, Cam Boozer at Duke. Any of those guys could be the National Player of the Year. Any of those guys could be the number 1 pick in the draft. Any of those guys could be the next Anthony Davis, be the National Player of the Year as a freshman, win a national championship, and then be the number 1 pick in the draft. I could keep going, but you get the point. Whether you stuff. And then like Kelvin Sampson, Matt Painter, both trying to get their first national championship. If whatever you want out of a college basketball season, we have the ingredients to make that starting tomorrow. And like I said, I find myself more eager to get going. I mean, I'm always eager to get going, but more eager than normal. This season, I think, is going to be terrific. Yeah,
I love to hear that. I'm also I'm gonna bang this drum now because I think it'll be true throughout the season. But one more thing on top of the Peterson, Debonsa, Boozer, which that is the big trio, but a heavy portion of why I'm so excited for this season. I'm always excited for the juniors and seniors as we get to see these players kind of grow along and see what they can do. But I do think we have a chance. And I do wonder if this is just some wide-eye optimism here for this really to be one of like the 3 best freshman classes of the past Parrish 20 years. And if it's of the past 20 years, then it's ever, frankly, because freshmen would become sophomores and then juniors and wouldn't go on to be top 5 and top 10 picks in most years, obviously in a couple eras. But beyond the top 3 that you mentioned, Nate Ament is sitting there at number 4 in the 247 sports rankings at Tennessee. Tennessee, if you told me it won the SEC, I wouldn't be stunned. Darius Acuff, I think, will actually be the best freshman in the SEC. He's the number 5 player for Arkansas. Mikhail Brown Jr., he's could score. He is going to be awesome for Louisville, and Louisville has Final Four / national title hopes. He's 6. Chris Senack plays for Houston. Houston has an incredible freshman class overall. We'll get to Houston before we get out of the show. Caleb Wilson could be, if you can believe it, folks, North Carolina's first top 10 pick in 20 plus years. Braden Burries and Koa Pete, we'll save some more on them, but that's 2 of the top 11 as well. Braylon Mullins, he's out right now for UConn, but he could be big. Malik Thomas, Baylor's got another likely one and done or potential lottery pick. You go down the list, there's even more. So the apparent depth and skill of the 2025 high school class and what's now become the 25-26 college freshman class is insane. And I'm interested to see how many of these guys rise to the level of being All-Americans, rise to the level, if they don't get to that, to be first team all league guys in their respective conferences. I'm so excited to see what they can do, because in many recent seasons, like Flag was amazing last season, but we had a 2 or 3 year run post-COVID where freshmen just had seemingly had less relevance than they had in 15, 20 years. And I think that's going to go by the wayside. There's still going to be awesome players that are sophomores and juniors and seniors and All-American level and stand out. But the freshman talent overall, even just beyond the big 3, is going to be incredible. That's one of my favorite storylines.
Yeah, I haven't taken the time to go back and look at every recruiting class and weigh this one against previous ones. But off the top of my head, high school class of 2007, that's Derrick Rose, Kevin Love, OJ Mayo, Eric Gordon. That was really strong. All 4 of those guys were awesome college basketball players. And this is definitely, from a freshman perspective, has the capabilities to be a season that unfolds a little bit like that, where a lot of the players we are talking about day in and day out happen to be first year, one and done, likely top 5 picks. I believe the place we settle into next, typically when we do this show, is we go ahead and skip straight to the end of the season, announce national champion and our Final Four picks. So Norlander, the floor is yours. Disclose the schools you got in the Final Four. Tell us which team you're going to have winning it all.
Okay, so and as if you're watching live, you get a little sneak peek here, because this is going to publish on Monday at CBSSports.com or on your CBS Sports app. So we are revealing them on the pod for the first time. We have not talked about our actual Final Four picks in full on the pod until now. I'm going to go, and I don't always necessarily go with my preseason number 1 team, because, the number 1 team doesn't always win the national championship. Usually more often than not. I'm going to do it here. I'm going to have Houston win the national championship. And in doing so, And I laid out I'm not going to go into a lot of those reasons why. We actually talked about that on our CBS Sports Network show, which hopped into the pod feed on Thursday, if you got to watch that on YouTube or listen on your phones. But I do think that Houston is going to continue this run of just very compelling national championship storylines that the sport has seen for nearly a decade now, from Virginia's redemption to Villanova winning 2 and 3 to Carolina even coming back the year after losing and winning it. There's a little bit of that with Houston here. Remember, Carolina in 16 loses to Nova, comes back and wins it all in 17. UConn back-to-backs, Florida wins it, all 4 1 seeds. There's just been, in my opinion, in most seasons, even Kansas won the all blue blood Final Four, Coach K's final year, all of that. Baylor, what it did in 21. I just don't feel. I feel like it's been a while since we've had kind of a national champion where it was like, okay, that's a good story, but is there actually like a particular angle that's compelling just beyond, we have another national champion? I think college hoops has been blessed and graced with the fact that with most champions in the past decade, there's actually been something to it. And I'm predicting that Houston will get there again. I'm going to have Houston over Michigan, which is my preseason number 4 team. I like their balance, size, transfer class. I think their transfer class is basically number 2 in the country to Kentucky, who I do not have making the Final Four, because I'm not going to pick the teams that I think are the 4 best teams to all make the Final Four. It did happen last year. Typically that doesn't happen. So I'll say Houston over Michigan in the title game. And then I'll have Arizona making it. I'm very in on Arizona with its defensive capability, its size. I think it's probably going to have the best Duke or Arizona should probably have the best freshman duo in the country. We'll talk a little about them more because Arizona and Florida play tomorrow night. And then Parrish, on my initial pass on this, I actually put Kansas in my Final Four under the idea that Darren Peterson was just going to be that level of a player. He was going to be that special. But I backed out only because the tournament's fickle. There is a chance that I'm just too high on Kansas, and most people that have them 15th to 20th to 25th overall are going to wind up being right. So I did go with Purdue based on the coaching, the overall roster strength, guard play. Braden Smith, is Kaufman-Wren going to be an All-American as well. So I'm actually a way chalkier now than I usually am. But there you go. Houston over the Wolverines in the title game, and then Arizona and Purdue losing the national semis. What about you?
Obviously, like, we do this every year. Everybody does this every year. Like, Final Four picks is a very clickable thing. It looks good on a graphic. Yeah. Obviously, like, you can say things like, you've got Houston over Michigan in the title game, and that could literally be impossible as long as Houston and Michigan happen to be on the same side of the bracket, right? So, like, they're just things to talk about. But if you're looking for 4 teams I have in the Final Four, St. John's, Purdue, Houston, BYU, and in the title game, I've got St. John's over Purdue. We've talked about the Red Storm a lot this offseason, including recently. I don't have to rehash all that. I moved them to number 1 in the top 25 and 1 early in the offseason as Rick Pitino was transfer portal collecting and creating what in my mind was the best transfer class in the country. At the time, he called Ian Jackson St. John's next great point guard. I was like fired up. I was like, let's go. And then he said Ian Jackson's not. Then he said he's not a point guard, and now the new St. John's point guard is somebody who's not really a point guard. So, do I have levels of concern? Of course I do, but I decided I'm ride or die. I'm ride or die with St. John's. I'm ride or die with St. John's. I've got St. John's over Purdue in the national title game. While we're here, let's go ahead and get it on the record. The big 3 individual awards. I think we've touched on these in various places, but we can do it.
Reset.
I've got Braden Smith at Purdue winning the National Player of the Year award, but I recognize he's going to have to hold off some generational talents in Darren Peterson, AJ DeBanza, Cam Boozer, at least, to get that done. And as you have noted on a previous episode, you've actually got one of the freshmen, specifically Darren Peterson, as your National Player of the Year.
Yeah, I've got Peterson Player of the Year. I also have Peterson Freshman of the Year. We actually had someone email the show. I'm not going to do this on this show, but I will save it for sometime in November. Someone actually emailed the show for you to say, hey, Parrish, I know it will drive you up a wall if we have a situation in which a conference has or nationally, one freshman, Peterson wins Player of the Year, but Boozer wins Freshman of the Year. They actually broke down the math as to why that would happen. That's for a different show. It's actually a very rational explanation, but I'm with you. It's still going to be hard for me to accept. If we even get there, we might not even get there. But I
don't want to even hear the explanation, because whatever it is, I will say no. If you're the best player in the nation,
it's actually based in logic on how votes could cancel each other out and how this works. But fair enough.
If you're the
Wanna say
best
no to logic?
player in the nation and you are a freshman, then you are also the best freshman in the nation by definition. Anything that gets away from that very simple formula is stupid, period.
I understand. Do you want me to read it on the show now?
No, I don't.
I promise you it made a ton of sense. But I have Peterson winning freshman of the year and player of the year and then transfer of the year. We actually are in agreement. We both have Donovan Dent at UCLA being, if Smith's going to be the best point guard, Donovan Dent's going to be number 2. It's an embarrassment. This is also going to be something for another show, but I'll just, keep an eye on this as we get going. It is an embarrassment of riches how many good point guards and players who are going to be tasked with having the ball in their hands the most to lead their offenses this season. The Bob Cousy Award watch list was released at the beginning of this past week. We're talking, as things stand now, 25 to 30 high-level, competent point guards in this country. We've got Donovan Dent as the transfer of the year. I have him narrowly ahead of someone else, Bennett Sturtz, who's also an elite point guard, at least stands to be. We'll see how it does at the high major level. I think him and Yaxel Lendenboer, all in the Big Ten, by the way. My guess is they will be the 3 most impactful transfers. Having said that, there are so many. One of them could easily not hit. Someone that we haven't even hardly talked about in the preseason could wind up being the most valuable transfer, but we agree there.
So player of the year, I go Braden Smith, you go Darren Peterson. Freshman of the year, you go Darren Peterson, I go AJ DeBansa. Transfer of the year, we both go Donovan Dent, but to your point, there's a lot of good options here. You could go Lee Yaxel, PJ Haggerty, who was a consensus second-team All-American last year. He's now at Kansas State. Bennett Sturtz is a terrific option at Iowa. Darian Williams at NC State. Boogie Flan is now at Florida. My guy Ian Jackson, regardless of what position he plays, could be terrific at St. John's. Rob Wright is now at BYU. Jaden Quaintance at Kentucky. We both made our picks, but there's nothing crazy about any of those guys emerging, say, in February as the best transfer in the country.
Yeah, we have a chat right now, a comment that says, remember who was favored for player of the year in 2012 and who actually won. If we're talking,
let me take a guess. Let me take a guess on this. Is it Harrison Barnes, but Anthony Davis won?
No. So Sullinger was at least at CBS Sports. I know this because I put the track record actually when I did the player of the year stuff earlier back in October. 11-12, it was Sullinger that was the preseason pick at Ohio State. Anthony Davis won. And then if you meant 2012 going to 13, Cody Zeller was the pick. And then Trey Burke actually wound up winning National Player of the Year. So regardless, and I detailed this when we did our Player of the Year stuff, identifying the Player of the Year in the preseason and being right on it doesn't happen a ton. In fact, on the CBS side, we'd hit it with Brunson in 17-18. We hit it with Luka Garza in 2021, and we hit it with Zach Edey the year that he repeated. But a year ago, Flag won it. Preseason Player of the Year. Do you remember? Who was our preseason Player of the Year a year ago?
It was Mark Sears.
It was Mark Sears.
But let the record show, I voted for Cooper Flag.
Okay.
I had Cooper Flag preseason
I can't
National Player of the Year.
That. I'm going to take you at your word. Very easy to say right now, although it is a very GP thing. I don't doubt you whatsoever on that. I'm just busting balls there. But
hand to heart. This is not something I would lie about. I'm a lie about other things, but
I get hand opposite of the heart to see how that other arm's doing right now with the steroids? Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, he's flexible.
Look at me.
There we go.
Oh, on 18 from 165 out today. Stuck it to 3 feet.
Okay.
I'm on steroids. I'm so strong. I get it. I understand Bonds and all of them, man. I feel better than I've ever felt. I feel strong and capable.
I feel like I'm on steroids. Needs to be a drop. I'm making a note in my Google Doc right now. Quickie refresh on our conference champions. We don't need to break this down. We previewed every conference, but just for anyone that's dialed in right here live on a Sunday show, we appreciate you. Pod does not get scared, by the way. We're head to head with Chiefs Bills. We're never scared on this show. Going head to head with arguably the most anticipated regular season game of the NFL season. We don't care. We know you want ball. We want ball as well. I know Josh Allen's throwing a TD for my fantasy team. Let's keep it moving. GP's talking about his golf game. I'm talking about my fantasy team. Famously, things people do not give a damn about.
It was 165 from the middle of the fairway. Stuck it to 3 feet. Knocked in the birdie putt. Collected my Venmo. Came on home to start prepping for a podcast.
Okay, there we go. We both have Duke winning the ACC. We both have Houston winning the Big 12. We both have Purdue winning the Big 10. In the Big East, Parrish obviously has St. John's, ride or die. I have UConn winning. And then in the SEC, Parrish has Florida, and I have Kentucky. So we only disagree on 2 of the 5 high majors. Also, I did note in our pod doc here, you have Debanza freshman of the year. I have Peterson. That means Cameron Booster's probably going to win it. I'm very aware of the fact that if we
neither one of us took the guy who got 24 and 23 against Tennessee last week. What are we doing? What are we doing?
I know, and we have even more coming on Boozer and all those guys with our big preseason stuff as it is. I think that's an A block.
Hey, let me ask you a question though, something very specific, sure. Because like we agree on some of these. The places we disagree: Big East, SEC. I went Florida. You went Kentucky. KenPom has Florida over Kentucky. Torvik has Florida over Kentucky. AP poll has Florida over Kentucky. I have Florida over Kentucky. Why don't you? What do you know that we don't know?
I'm not saying I do know something that you don't know. I just think there's sometimes value. And
why do you think you're smarter than everybody else?
I didn't say that whatsoever. I happen to like Kentucky's roster overall a little bit more than Florida's. That's all. I have Florida second in the SEC. I think that Kentucky bringing back a player of Otega Oweh's caliber, Jaden Quainton's coming in, and if he can get healthy and be one of the 5 most impactful defensive players, they got a good freshman class. Just think they got a chance. By the way, I have Kentucky at 3rd in the country. KenPom has them at 4. So I don't think I'm exactly trying to say.
Well, if you look up in downtown Indianapolis come April and Todd Golden's heckling you from, St. Elmo, you did this to yourself. You did
correct.
This to yourself.
That's correct. Did you go last thing, and then we can go to the next? Did you? I think a year ago you were like, you know what? I always pick my top 4 teams on my rankings, and I'm not going to do that I think that was last year.
Yeah.
So you did that, and then we proceeded to have the 4 1 seeds actually make the Final Four.
Yeah.
So did you revert to your old ways here? Did you have to go back to the old you and did you take your top 4 teams in your rankings?
I'm moving like the old me, and I am also predicting like the old me. I took the top 4 to the top 25 and called it a day.
Yep.
I'm getting back to being who I used to be.
Okay, fair enough.
I lost myself a little bit last year, but I'm getting it back. I lost myself a little bit last year.
If you say so. Listen, we have more fun predictions, just doomed to be wrong, coming later in the show. But I think we got to look ahead to Monday and Tuesday, because we actually got a few really nice matchups here, including a truly like a headline event that's going to tip off the season on Monday night. So I guess I'll just take it here. Let's first get a word from our partners, and when we come back, we're going to preview Florida, Arizona, and everything else you need to know on Monday and Tuesday.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Right, Norlander, let's spend some time on some notable games scheduled for the next couple of days. And let's start with number 3, Florida versus number 13, Arizona. It's going to be inside T-Mobile Arena out in Las Vegas. It's Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern on TNT. The Gators opened as 3.5-point favorites, but I guess, Norlander, if you don't think Florida is going to be better than Kentucky, you probably don't think they're going to cover 3.5 against an Arizona team that you've already got slotted in the Final Four. I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, well, okay. So I got plenty on this game, by the way. Just for official purposes here, my preseason rankings are what I think will be the case, essentially, like going into the NCAA tournament / at the end of the year. So it's very possible that Arizona loses tomorrow. I actually don't think they will. I think Arizona's going to win. This isn't the Final Four and 1. That's an unofficial pick. I do have Arizona ranked ahead of Florida narrowly heading into the season. And this is just an awesome, we're in the midst of just an awesome sports run here. We just had the World Series end last night, 11 innings. And technically that ended on Sunday. So for the first time ever, you have Major League Baseball ending and college basketball starting one day apart. They'd never been that close, but if that feels weird to you, get used to it, because we're going to a 32-game regular season next season, and college basketball season is actually going to start in October in certain years moving forward, if not permanently eventually. And we will have a situation where college basketball is actually starting before baseball ending, which on the other end of it, every time we're at the Final Four now, they're playing the first game of the season is like happening in Japan and all that stuff. So this used to be that these two sports were really signaling the sunrise and sunset with each other. And now we've got a little bit of intermingling there.
2 years ago, we went to the Astros regular season second game of the year at the Final Four.
Correct. Yes. It's weird. And just a small thing, but to me that always, I don't know, when the World Series ends, it's like, okay, cool. Catch a breath. Season starts in 3 to 6, 7 days. That's not the thing anymore.
Yeah.
The sports are trying to maximize their calendars and all that stuff. And so now, yes, they're about to overlap there. Congrats to the Dodgers. Just an insane World Series. You're actually, let's preview the game, but you're a huge baseball fan. Literally one of the best World Series ever.
All-time great World Series with some all-time great performances. The drama connected to last night. Just as a baseball fan, I just loved everything about it. It felt like the whole world was watching baseball.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes.
Because I watch baseball every night. Every night I watch baseball. Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite sport. And I often feel like I'm just watching it by myself, like nobody else cares. Like I'm watching little indie TV shows over here, that nobody else has ever heard of. This is what I feel like I'm doing all summer. So anytime baseball is like the centerpiece of anything, I love that. And last night was just terrific. We just sat there whole family and just stayed up and watched every pitch until it was all over. And it was I was glad we got to do that. It was
unreal. Yeah. The Will Smith toe tap at the plate that barely prevented the Blue Jays from winning. Then he's the one that actually hits the homer. That's the deciding win there. The catch in the outfield, Kike Hernandez gets bowled over by Pajes. That was just
that ball for 10 seconds leading up to that moment. You're going. Maybe not 10, maybe it's 5. Yeah, you're like, this is about to be so bad.
This is about to be 2020. This is this generation's Buckner moment. That's what you think is going to happen.
This is about to be bad. This is how they're going to lose the World Series. It's happening right here.
Yeah.
And then it was just a big man. Really? You know what saved it there? It was a big guy and a little guy running into each other.
Yeah.
Because then the big guy could just be the big guy.
Exactly.
If they'd have both been big guys or both been little guys, it'd have been a problem.
It's a great point. It's a great point. It worked well. It's like this pod, if I was in the center field and you were in left field, that's exactly how it would have gone. You got to balance it. You got to balance it out.
I'd have been running as hard as I can to reach up there as far as I can, and you'd have just been like, "Hey, I got it. We're good."
I did play Little League baseball when I was little, but I got absolutely nothing on you when it comes to baseball. That is for sure. I've actually seen GP take batting practice. It's been a minute, but his arm, no issues back then. Okay, we're getting off task again.
That's right. So I'm fired up for this game, Florida, Arizona. If you care. I mentioned Florida's 3.5-point favorite. That number's already posted. Kim Palm's got it 84-79 Florida. That's a 5-point difference. Mm-hmm. But it's the reigning national champs in a real game on opening night. That's awesome. I compliment Todd and Tommy for making this game.
Okay.
Let's not ease into anything. Let's go do it. We're the champs. Let's go be an A block story on the opening night of the season. I love it.
I got all of it for you here. So how about this? I did the research over the weekend. For Arizona, it's really cool. They opened their last time opening ranked was against Carolina out in Hawaii, actually 9 years ago. It's the first time they're going to open against a top 5 team since 2001, 2002 when they played Maryland. Maryland was actually number 2 that season, and Arizona was unranked and beat Maryland, and Maryland went on to, of course, win the national championship that season. So keep that in mind. I don't know. Maybe history will it'll rhyme here. That game was actually at the Garden, but for Florida, so it's the first time this. I so appreciate Tommy, who schedules aggressively. Period. Arizona is actually going to face the 5 most recent national champions on its schedule this season. Just like big schools that win titles, Arizona's playing all of them. Some of it's a function of obviously being in the same league as Kansas and all that. But for Florida, what Todd Golden has done here is highly unusual. The last time we had a reigning national champion open the season against a high major team was 2019, but it kind of doesn't count because that was Virginia against Syracuse. I know, I was there. The ACC that season wanted to, I can't remember exactly why. I remember I was talking on the show. Maybe it was ACC network related, but essentially I think every ACC team except maybe Duke opened the season against a conference opponent. Okay, so Virginia didn't decide to do that. So if you really want to go back to the last time a reigning national champion opened the season against a high major, Maryland is involved again. It was Calipari coming off the 2012 title. They played against Maryland in Brooklyn. They won by 3. That Kentucky team did not make the NCAA tournament. That was the Nerlens Noel, Archie Goodwin, Alex Poythress that went to the NITGP. But that's how long. So it's been 13 years since the team willingly opted into starting its season against a high major, again, specifically coming off a national championship. Prior to that, you have to go back to 2001 when it kind of half counts because Duke won the 0-1 title, but you want to know how different scheduling is, folks? In 2001, Duke played against Seton Hall in Maui to start the season. So it kind of counts, but kind of doesn't. But really, if you want to go to the two most recent examples until Florida, it's Kentucky in 2012 and it's UConn in 1999, when in November of 99, UConn was preseason number 1, played against Iowa in the Coaches versus Cancer Classic. It actually lost that game. Duke lost as well, and it was bracket play. So for the purposes of like promoting and marketing the event, the anticipation was that Duke and UConn will both win to win it. They both lost and played each other. Duke wound up starting that season 0-2, and UConn avenged it. But yeah, Florida's really only the second team, Parrish, this century to intentionally schedule a high major program to start the season. And I really appreciate Arizona and Florida doing this, because in some ways they kind of saved opening night because of it. Like, we do have Nova and BYU. We'll get to that in a second, but we have a ranked on ranked matchup. We have a matchup between two coaches and two programs that are capable of making the Final Four, could prove to be capable of winning a national championship. You get the reigning champs playing a power program with real talent. I think it's a major big time deal. And yeah, I mean, I got a couple notes on the actual matchup, but just for reference on how special this is, you normally don't get a reigning champ just opening up the season with a viable opponent. Golden Florida didn't run from it.
I am not somebody who thinks we need, 8 ranked on ranked matchups on the opening night of the season, right?
You need something.
You need something. Like, we can't just have good teams playing bad teams the whole schedule. That's what it is. And the number 1 ranked team is a 27-point favorite, and the number 2 ranked team is a 19-point favorite, and the number 3 team is a 31-point favorite. Like, that's garbage. Somebody has to step up and make compelling matchups on opening night. And in this case, Tommy and Todd, in conjunction with TNT and Turner, were able to get this done. So we get the reigning national champs in a big game against a quality opponent. Get to see how Florida looks without Walter Clayton, how Florida's new guards look, how Thomas how looks in a new role. And then on the other side, this is year 5 for Tommy Lloyd. I know you know this, but 4 tournaments in 4 years, 3 Sweet 16s. His career winning percentage right now is 0.772. Mike Krzyzewski's career winning percentage, 0.766. I mean, it's apples to oranges a little bit, but through 5 years, Tommy Lloyd is winning at a higher rate than Mike Krzyzewski won throughout his career, widely recognized as the GOAT. It's not to put those two men in the same sentence necessarily. I'm just saying, while we'll get to this later, like John Scheyer is off to one of the great starts to a head coaching career in college basketball history. Yep. So is Tommy Lloyd. He is as well.
Yep. And as Arizona and Duke fans know, but a reminder, Scheyer and Lloyd intentionally scheduled each other. Perhaps no coincidence that they are 2 of the best 3-year starters in history. We got more on that coming. Just a couple of general notes, and just a heads up for our audience. We will podcast again per usual, season mode, Wednesday morning. So just keep an eye on that. We got Texas Duke. We're going to preview that in a second as well. But we'll recap everything you need to know for this. But it will be Wednesday morning as things stand and are planned right now. But I want to see, does Boogie Flan immediately hit? He didn't play in the Illinois scrimmage that Florida looked really well in. He had some bombastic streaks at Arkansas. Does he step in? Is he an immediate player? Xavier Lee, big jump up. I just want to see how he looks against an Arizona team that I think defensively is going to be showing up and ready to play. And on that note, Parrish, Florida fairly and truly evaluated right now best front court in college basketball. I think that is an honor that has been bestowed upon them, and rightfully so. They won the title, and they bring back Chinliu, Hanlogden, Hauk, and Condon. But guess what? Arizona is probably the one team that in some ways they I guess they want to face them because it's an immediate test, but they got dudes, man. Motias Krivas is back. He last played for Arizona in meaningful games last December, but he's back, and he's a big guy. Toby Awaka is a defensive monster, and then Koa Pete is involved as well. So that Florida front court is going to get a real battle with the Arizona front court in a way that I'm super excited for. And then the backcourt's like Braden Burries. What is he? He's going to team up with Jaden Bradley, who I'm super high on. I think they'll be tremendous. Arizona, it does have, we're going to talk about Duke in a second. That's the number 1 class. Arizona has the number 2 class in the country. So from a freshman standpoint, and I do expect Burries and Pete to be like significantly impactful players this season. And then from a head coaching perspective, I would certainly hope for just coverage of the sport that neither of these guys leave. But I think Todd Golden and Tommy Lloyd, I think they rank among the 5 or so coaches that are viewed to be most likely to maybe one day coach in the NBA. So just from like a schematic standpoint, how they run their programs, like there's a little bit of that attached to them as well. There's a lot of good stuff. I'm excited to see what happens this game, how it goes down. If you're a Florida fan, you haven't seen your team play in Vegas, by the way, since 1985. It's been a minute there. Obviously, Tommy Lloyd, no stranger to coaching in Vegas. This is a 7 Eastern tip.
I mean, if you're an Arizona fan.
Sorry, if you're an Arizona fan.
Yeah, because I was like, no, I've seen Florida play in Vegas. I was there.
Correct. If the 7 Eastern tip on TNT, just be aware as a college basketball fan, you just have a little bit of some different stuff with catching some of these games. And although GP and I both don't love the fact that the seasons are like set to start on Mondays in the years to come, just not a great idea. We criticized it when it happened. At the very least, this game does tip at 7 Eastern, whereas Monday Night Football's matchup, which is fine, that's not going to start until this game is like into the second half. So you'll at least it'll have some standalone quality tied to it overall. But yeah, no, this is just tremendous. And I'm with you. Just give me like 1 or 2 good ones to start the season. This is tremendous. And then obviously we get to dance in the nightcap there.
All right, let me make sure I understand what you said. Arizona hasn't played a game in Las Vegas since when?
No, Florida.
I was at a Florida game in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Joakim Noah was on the court.
You are correct because I remember the game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got this from the Florida notes earlier today. Hold on. I'm about to throw Florida under the bus here.
I've at least seen Florida play 2 games in Las Vegas.
Here we go. Hold on. Here it is. This is in Florida's notes.
Okay.
The Gators visit Las Vegas for the first time since the Rebel Roundup on December 21 and 22, 1985, where Florida dropped a pair of games versus Iona and San Diego State at UNLV's Thomas and Mack Center. So that's not correct because, Florida played
Kansas.
That's right. 07, 08?
And it would be in November 2006.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Okay. Let's see it right here.
I remember that game taking place.
Kansas 82. It's Kansas 82, Florida 80, Las Vegas Invitational.
There we go.
We gotta get
okay, maybe this is the out. If you're watching the show, it says Paradise, Nevada, and that's not technically Las Vegas.
Oh my God!
But
then you're being
card
silly.
says moops. I'm not disagreeing with you. They have played in the general Vegas area since then.
That's silly. That's misleading. At the very least, it's misleading.
Understood. I got it from Florida's notes. So
yeah, well,
I actually love the fact that you fact checked that.
Somebody in Florida's nose are getting a little too nitpicky. We were in Vegas. So. We were in Vegas. All right. We slept in Vegas. We flew into Vegas.
Yes. What airport did you fly into? I think should largely define the situation.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to get caught on that, but I was real confused.
No, you're all good. A ton surrounding this one, and we gave it a lot of time. But it's an awesome matchup, and I can't wait to see these teams and what they look like. I'm champing at the bit to get there. I will note, by the way, before we get to the BYU-Nova, just for chronological purposes, Lehigh plays at Houston, 8 Eastern, CBS Sports Network. We will have college hoops on our air, folks, on Monday night. Kelvin Sampson is going for win number 800 in this game. He would have much preferred to get that back in April. Nevertheless, he is going for 800. We'll be on at halftime, and I will have the capability to turn back time when we do that halftime show, because if you're watching right now, you can see what my hair looks like, and it will not look like that on that halftime show. I can promise you that. But a big time game there. And by the way, if you're watching hoops on Monday and really throughout this week, kind of want to see what your setups are. Our college football guys have done this as well. Tweet us your setups. I don't know if we have a hashtag associated with that, but I do know that that's going to be an initiative, a social media driven initiative. So I generally do want to see how you're taking in the games and all that good stuff. So tweet at the podcast account or at me and GP. And if we got some good ones out there, we'll highlight you on the pod later on this week.
Every once in a while, I'll be sitting around and someone will be like, man, it's a great sports night. Look at my setup. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, now I got a setup here. And then I take a picture. Like I have pictures in my phone.
Let's unleash it on the world.
No,
show people how rich you are.
This is exactly the problem. I take the picture and then I'm like, the replies are going to be, Oh, you're a jerk. Stop showing off your screens. Stop showing off your monitors. And so I just set the whole thing out. So this is what I'm asking you. You're asking people to share their setups. Can I share my setup without people mocking me?
No, I think, listen, I think the most important thing here is anything that's good for show content, regardless of how it might reflect on us or ping our egos, is ultimately better. So yes, I think you absolutely should.
Because I do want to tell you, I mean, it does look rich. I mean, it looks rich. It's a nice setup.
How about this? You tweet yours and I'll tweet mine as well. Okay.
I guarantee you mine kills yours.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, yeah, mine's fine. I got a 2 TV setup here. I do the iPad. It's fine. Like, it's whatever.
I see the chat over under 4 TVs. Come, get out of here.
Over under 4.5.
Over, way over.
But at what point does that become counterproductive? You only have so much of an attention span to watch all this stuff.
I got addicted at some point. I just started buying screens. And now it's like I don't even turn half of them on half the time.
Okay. You're like the guy from The Matrix too.
Here's what I was trying to say. It looks rich. It does. I get it. But in 2025, this is the point I want to emphasize most. You don't have to be rich to have a nice setup. And I don't say that like I'm not ignorant to like times are hard. I got it. But like TV screens are the ones that used to cost $1,500 cost $250 now. That's what I mean. I
got to get on that then. My living room TV, I haven't updated it in a decade because it still works. It's high def. What do I care? Maybe I gotta step it up.
You might need to step your stuff. You're definitely going to want to step your stuff up if I ever show you my setup. But I don't think I'm going to.
You're going to show me your setup because we're gonna bully you into making this happen.
I'm insecure. I'm insecure about it.
No, let's make it.
Feels a little too showy.
BYU-Villanova in Vegas. This is the nightcap, 9:30. It's not as good of a matchup, but it's got the biggest star. It's got AJ DeBanza. BYU is ranked in the preseason AP top 10 for the first time in program history, and more good stuff. You know, BYU knew what it was. It's not just DeBanza, Richie Saunders, Rob Wright. Those are the 3 big names there. One of the better offensive teams in the country last season. GP just talked last week about how great they were in the final 2 months of the season. But stepping right in, playing in a high major opponent. We'll wait and see what Villanova is. Caden Lewis is a freshman on that roster who I think is going to be top 15 freshman of value in the country this season, not potentially top 10 because what they're going to ask from him. But Kevin Willard's bringing in guys that were going to play with him at Maryland. They've got transfers from Grand Canyon and James Madison and Temple. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe we talk on this show Wednesday morning and we're talking about how Villanova pulled off a win, and that's the lead topic for all I know. But I'm expecting a BYU win. The question is with DeBanza, is he going to approach this game, or will BYU approach this game for him to say, big stage, right away, go get it? Like, is DeBanza in the natural flow of the game? Is he trying to get 34 on opening night, or are we going to see Richie Saunders, Rob Wright, kind of them share the sugar a little bit there? Just interested to see that as well, because our first big look at a big name freshman happens Monday night with the Cougars out in the desert.
So on the freshman, you're Team Peterson, I'm Team DeBanza, and it's probably going to end up being Team Boozer.
Of course.
But I think among your arguments for Peterson, this is the one I subscribe to the most. DeBanza's got multiple other dudes who are going to score. And I'm not sure Kansas does. Like, Kansas might really – like, Darren Peterson could have the highest usage rate in the country. I mean, that might be overstating that, but it could be up there pretty high. Whereas Richie Saunders is going to score. Rob Wright is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. So that, to me, if you're just looking for numbers, Peterson might end up with the better numbers because he might need to for Kansas to be what Kansas is going to be.
I think that's entirely possible. I think Badunga's going to be solid for Kansas. I do think Melvin Council will step up. I've been an El Marco Jackson guy since I saw him on the Under Armour circuit a few years back, but he didn't play last season. Let's see what he can grow into. But he's a pretty good athlete. Can he thrive in that secondary role? But certainly something above a tertiary role. But yes, Peterson is going to be a volume monster. I do think there will be nights, and we're going to get to this in the prediction port because I want to actually try and have us hit on what we think certain guys are going to do in the big 3. But I do think there will be certain nights where DeBanza does go for like 36, and it's an awesome 36. But there could be nights where Rob Wright just goes for 24, Richie Saunders goes for 23, and Debanza chips in with an additional 16, and it works perfectly with the way that Kevin Young runs his offense. I want to see how all those pieces work. I do expect, and this is part of why, circle back to the top of the show, GP, and I'm so, I am ready for games right now. I do think BYU should be, if it goes the way they want it to, a top 5 must-see offensive unit in the country, because they have the pieces to be able to throw up 85, 90, 95 on a given night. We see if they can do that right away, if it's going to take them a little bit of time to get in there.
So interesting game. Just on a surface level, you look at it, you go, okay, one of them's a top 10 team. The other one's got a new coach and just was picked to finish 7th in the Big East, because that's where we're at. Cal Neptune out, Kevin Willard in. Villanova missed the NCAA tournament for 3 straight years, is expected to miss it a 4th straight. KenPom's got it projected, though, only BYU 80, Villanova 75. So at least according to one computer, we should have a competitive basketball game there. BYU, I'm really high on them. I got them top 4 in the country. I've got them in my Final 4. Based on that stuff alone, I think this could be the best BYU basketball team, men's basketball team ever. The way the team is configured is, I think there's no one way to do it, but I like this way. Player retention, like you bring back 2 starters, supplement them in the transfer portal. They got 2 more guys out of there, and then go get the one and done star. Like I think that's a recipe I like. You got some players back. Retention's important. You're not trying to supplement your lost starters with freshmen completely. Get into the transfer portal, guys who have already done it, and then get the one and done difference maker who could be the number 1 pick in the draft. Like BYU did all of that stuff in a way that, some other teams, I guess, got there, but that's the great example of how to roster configure, I think.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be really, really good. I'll have them winning this game. On the other side, interested to see what Villanova looks like.
Yeah.
In year 1 under Kevin, also just like going forward under Kevin, because how he got from Maryland to Villanova was very awkward. Like, we didn't get off to the best start. It wasn't the best feelings. But now, all that's in the past, and it's time to go win basketball games and run a basketball program. He only got one dude back, Tyler Perkins, who averaged 6 points, 4 rebounds, and like 25 minutes per game last season. So he's a rotation piece, but not a big piece. Everything else is new. But again, based on KenPom, we could have a competitive game tomorrow night featuring a top 5 pick and a preseason top 10 team. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And again, that's a 9:30 scheduled tip on TNT. Before we get to the big Tuesday matchup, just a couple, those are the 2 notable games, and the Houston-Lehigh one, obviously on CBS Sports Network. But you've got big time teams playing smaller schools. And so the question is, on Wednesday, will we be talking about either a ranked team or just a notable power conference team that takes an L? You do have 2 on the road. Boston College will play at FAU, and then Missouri is going. Dennis Gates is taking his team to play at Howard to open the season. I understand why plenty of people will be like, "Why are you doing that?" And I get that, but I actually like that they're doing it, because if you're going to be more likely to win than lose, and if you win, it actually can be a really nice resume thing, notch come NCAA tournament time. So Missouri's pretty good. Howard wasn't good. I would think they would win, but those are notable. And then I will give a shout to our counterparts at Field of 68. They have taken on the task here of having 6 games on opening day, including Queens at Winthrop on YouTube at 8 a.m. Yes, 8 in the morning on Monday. That game will tip off the start of the college basketball season, kind of like that. And they also will broadcast High Point versus Furman. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. That could be the best team in the Big South against the best SoCon team. So it actually is a good mid-major matchup. Want to give them their flowers there. There's a couple other notable games on Monday, but we'll see results-wise if there's anything to break down on Wednesday and see if anyone gets picked off early. Tuesday, it's the biggie, Texas versus Duke in Charlotte. Tip time is scheduled for 8:45 p.m. Eastern. It's the Dick Vitale Invitational, so it will be obviously an awesome scene. Dickie V, well on the mend here. He's obviously had his share of health battles we've talked about and given him his flowers and praise plenty on the pod in recent months and years. And here we get Duke, where I had actually mentioned, aside from the Champions Classic, the last time that Duke opened a season against a high major team was back Seton Hall in the Maui. But the Champions Classic induced them to do that. Maybe we'll save that for another time, because we're not getting the Champions Classic, folks, for 2 weeks, which is absolute awfulness. But so it goes. Texas gets this game. We get Boozer here. I do have a trivia time for you. Cameron Boozer, 4th player to ever win the Gatorade National Player of the Year, even predating when it was called, I think, technically the Gatorade National Player of the Year. He's the 4th one to do it. Win it twice in his high school career. He actually won it as a senior and a sophomore. Flag won it when Boozer was a junior. Who are the other 3 to do it? I think you can get 2 of the 3. All 3 are, I guess, technically gettable, but I think 2 of the 3 are easier than the other.
Would you believe I have actually talked to Cameron Boozer about this?
Okay.
About this specifically.
Like then you got it.
I said, Cam, hey, I don't know if you realize, but you're a 2-time Gatorade Award winner, and only 3 other people have ever won that award twice. And then I was like, and it was boom, boom, boom. What's it like to be in that class? And then he said something. I neither remember what I said nor what he said.
Okay. You can't.
But I'm going to say Greg Oden.
Correct. There you go.
I'm going to say, how far back do we go with this?
You know what? I'm glad you asked. It goes back to 85-86.
Okay. I went Greg Oden.
Yep. No one said it in the chat, but try to avoid the chat on some of these.
I'll turn my phone over. I'm not looking.
Don't look at the chat.
Greg Oden.
There's another very easy one.
Very easy.
Very easy. 2-time Gatorade High School Player of the Year.
It's not Anthony Davis, is it?
No.
Because he was a late thing.
No. 2-time High School Player of the Year.
Just give him to me. I can't.
The greatest high school player ever. That's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay, well, I was about to say the little Lou Alcindor, but that's a different era. The greatest high school player who's not Lou Alcindor.
Yes. He's still in the NBA. He has sciatica.
Oh, LeBron! Jesus Christ! Okay.
Now you know how I feel when you give me an easy one and I can't get the answer.
Okay, LeBron James, sure. So LeBron James, Greg Oden, and go ahead.
Played for Kentucky. Brandon Knight.
Brandon Knight
won it twice. Those are the only, and then Boozer is the only the 2-time player of the year, Gatorade High School Player of the Year. Just a little trivia time to get us going here to start the season. What does Boozer look like? Texas brings back Jordan Pope, Tremont Mark. They've got Simeon Wilcher from St. John's, Cam Heide from Purdue. I think he'll be a role player, but he went to Texas because he thought he was going to have a chance to really pop there. We'll see if he does. Duke obviously favored. This game is not in Duke's backyard, but it is in Charlotte. It is in state. And how good does Duke look immediately after a heartbreaking Final Four loss? Duke was the best team in the sport last season per most metrics, not every metric, but per most metrics, and rated as one of the best teams, frankly, of the past 20 to 25 years. Now, it's not an entirely new roster. Isaiah Evans, Caleb Foster, Patrick Ngongba are all back in addition to the number 1 rated class. And we see what they look like against a Texas team that is going to just try and find its identity under Sean Miller. This is about as house money as you can possibly get if you are Texas and Sean Miller. It's your first game there in the state of North Carolina against Duke, which might have the number 1 pick in the draft and literally one of the winningest best high school players that has ever played, and his twin brother Caden there. So very, very interested just to see what Duke looks like. But I would think Duke would win. But that's what the first week of the season's for. We get surprises. Maybe Texas can do it. Yeah,
Texas brings back 4 players from the previous staff, among them Jordan Pope, Tremont Mark. KenPom has it Duke 80, Texas 73 for whatever it's worth. Duke's going to be favored in the game and expected to win. A, they're on paper the better team. B, they will have a crowd advantage, presumably in Charlotte. If you're Texas, you get a chance to open the season against Duke in a high-profile event. Let's go do it and take a shot. If we lose, so what? Nobody thought anything otherwise. But what if we get them? Then you can just really, launch pad your program, or at least have some really good stuff to draw from in the first week of your first week in the regular season as UT's coach. Some stuff on Texas, though. They had to get into the transfer portal, obviously. And they've got 2 bigs, both of whom have been dealing with injuries this preseason. Lassina Traore, who you might remember, we talked about him last preseason.
Great call. Great pull.
Because he was supposed to be at Xavier, supposed to be a difference maker, had averaged 12-10 the year before at Long Beach State and was getting rave reviews in the preseason at Xavier. He tore his ACL, missed all of last season, graduated, followed Sean to Texas. So he's there, but he's been dealing with like a mid-foot sprain. And so because of the ACL, they're being a little more careful with it. He's expected to be available for the opener, but he has been limited in recent workouts. And then the other one is a young man named Matas Vukatitis, and he is a FAU transfer, 10-5 last year in the American. He's also been dealing with a minor injury. So, Texas is going to have 5 guys on the court at all times, I imagine, but these are rotation pieces in the front court that have been limited recently. And when you're getting ready to go deal with, Duke's front court, that's obviously less than ideal.
Folks, we are 56 minutes in, and we still have a hearty, just thick prediction segment to get to. Let's take, I know GP's super psyched about this. Let's take one more break, and then we'll get into some outrageously fun and surely some doomed to be wrong picks for the 25-26 season.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But thanks to CBS Sports, you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
All right, Norlander, we got a series of questions here, just like fun stuff that we're going to try to answer. And as always, we'll see how it goes.
Correct. And I'm going to start with the trivia time, my friend.
Okay, trivia time, me.
Because we're going to do what first we're going to do something we do every year. And that is try and predict how many high major coaches at new schools will make the tournament in their first year. How many do you think made it last year? How many first-year coaches at high major schools actually danced in year one at their new spot?
5.
The answer is 7. Now, here's what we said a year ago. GP, you got 4 right. Calipari, Pope, Kelsey, and Dusty May. You said would all make it. Mm-hmm. You were right. I said Cal, Pope, Dusty May as well. We also both said Diebler, although I went back and listened. I reluctantly said yes, and they didn't make it. We were wrong on Kevin Young. Oh, that was very wrong. We were wrong on Mark Byington at Vandy. So we had 3 wrong overall. We both thought that Young and Byington wouldn't make it. They did. We thought Diebler would make it, and he didn't. So in 2026, how many hirings from this past, 2025 cycle will make the NCAA tournament? I have all the names if you need them, but I do not think you need them.
I'm going to go 6.
Wow. I'm at, you know what? GP, I'm at 5, and I think I know what your 6 is, and then I'm going to tell you why I didn't go with the 6. Go ahead.
Okay, let's. I'm going to try to pick the ones that I think we agree on.
Yep.
We agree on Stephen Pearl.
You know what? Sorry. We agree on 6. So we're at 6. You know what? I went to my yes, we agree on Stephen Pearl. Just incredible producing by me. I went back and checked my coaching carousel tracker, which last updated in July. So Pearl wasn't on it. So I'm adding Pearl. Now I have 6. So now I think we have the same 6. Go ahead.
Stephen Pearl.
Yes.
Buzz Williams.
No. I do not have Maryland making the tournament.
You don't have Buzz?
No.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Will Wade.
Yes.
Sean Miller.
Yes.
Ryan Odom.
Yes, of course. I have Virginia top 30.
Okay. Here's the 2 where I'm picking between these 2 to fill it. So I got 5 that I feel my first 5 would be Stephen Pearl, Buzz Williams, Will Wade, Sean Miller, Ryan Odom in some order.
Yep.
And my 6th, I would go with either Bucky McMillan at Texas A&M.
Look at you.
Or Ben McCollum at Iowa.
Okay. You got to pick one. You got to go, or pick them both. I don't care. But you said 6. So who's it going to be?
I think based off of what I've already said on previous episodes, yes. I think I've boxed myself into Texas A&M in, Iowa out.
Okay. Well, I thought you had Ben McCollum as a top 10 coach in the country. So
15.
I don't know how these square. Okay.
This is the problem with talking too much. All right. You end up saying a lot of stuff. And now I'm boxed in. I think based on previous episodes, I've got Iowa out and A&M in, and that means Bucky in, Ben out. But 6 is my answer. 6 first-year high major coaches will be in the NCAA tournament.
GPS, Bucky McMillan, Will Wade, Sean Miller, Buzz Williams, Ryan Odom, and Stephen Pearl. Okay. I have Stephen Pearl, Ryan Odom, Kevin Willard, Sean Miller, Will Wade, and Ben McCollum. Now the coach, so we both have the same amount, but we don't have the same exact coaches, which I like. I think on a previous show, I put Indiana in the tournament. I'm going back on that. Parrish.
Well, they're going to love that.
Well,
Bloomington.
How about this? Indiana. Well, you know what? I think they're okay in Bloomington right now with the football team and all things considered. I actually think they're like willing to trade 1 year of football greatness if like it's year one under a new coach, and if we, for whatever, I'll check back in February. How about this? Indiana has to play on the road against the projected top 5 teams in the Big Ten. They have to play at Purdue, at Michigan, at Michigan State, at Illinois, and at UCLA. I do not believe there is another Big Ten team that has to do all 5 of those. That's also considered like top 50 level. So it's not just that. Then in the non-con, they host Kansas State. Might not be a tournament team. They play Louisville and Marquette, but they only play 4 Power 5 teams in the non-con. So their Big Ten schedule is kind of stacked against them. It's the first year under a new coach. Their non-conference doesn't give them a lot of flexibility. They actually ran into this, and I was banging the table. Podcast listeners will remember this. A year ago, when Woodson did his team no favors, actually that exact scenario came back to bite Indiana in the ass. Indiana wasn't good enough to get to the NCAA tournament. Woodson was out the door, from a public standpoint by the time we got to early February. So, hey, maybe Indiana clicks GP, everything's awesome, and they slide into a 6th seed, and it's nothing. But I've got them 40 preseason overall in my rankings, and I'm going to say the schedule is just too much, and they don't get in. But you agree as well. I actually wondered if you put DeVries into the tournament, but you did not.
No, I know Indiana's had their basketball coaching problems in recent years, but I tell you, your football coach seems amazing.
Correct.
Your football coach seems amazing. It's hard to imagine you're going to have to buy him out for $30 million in like 8 years. Like that's going to be a weird time. But like for now, woo!
You take the trade-off. I mean, your team could quite literally win the college football playoff, which was just a notion that was unthinkable.
I'm joking around. I'm always just like a little skeptical of like contracts of this length and for that much money. Like it's just like there's a lot of room for things to get sideways, particularly in a league like that. But he's clearly a special coach and like a uniquely talented guy. I'm always fearful these types of contracts are just going to end badly. But if I were an Indiana fan, I'd be like, I don't care. This is fun. I'm having a blast. I don't care. It's not my money. This is good.
Fair enough. All right. How many single-digit seeds from last season's tournament will not dance this year? Last year, well, again, holding ourselves accountable on the pod as always. At least I'm making sure we're doing it. GP and I agreed on these, and we were all right. Northwestern, Washington State, TCU, FAU, South Carolina, and Nebraska. Again, these were teams that danced in 24 that we said wouldn't dance in 25 in their single-digit seeds. We were wrong about Wisconsin. We were so wrong. They were a 3 seed. Wrong about BYU, a 6 seed. Wrong about Mississippi State. It got back and was an 8 seed. Wrong about Utah State. It got back and was a 10 seed. GP, you were also wrong and said St. Mary's would not make the tournament last season. It did, and it was a 7 seed. What single-digit seeds from last season will not make the tournament this season, GP?
St. Mary's.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep doing it.
See how that works out for you. I have St. Mary's in the tournament for the record in 26.
I'm just out here picking against Randy Bennett like an idiot. Hold up. The guy at Little Bitty St. Mary's who goes to the tournament every year? Yeah. That's the guy you think's just suddenly not going to do it? Yeah. 2 years in a row? That's right.
I'll tell you what, with what you said before, I'm at 4 and I'm uncomfortable that it's such a low number. I don't think you have 4. What teams do you have that were single-digit seeds in March and aren't going to dance next year?
Okay. I know this is wrong, but when I was just going through, I know it will ultimately be wrong. But based on my current projections, by the way, I think I got like 80 teams in the tournament. So that's my first problem is I probably got an 80-team tournament right now. Greg Sankey, I don't know why he's not sending me a bouquet. I'm out here on the pod doing 80-team tournaments every week. All right. I think I have too many teams in the tournament. But I would seriously right now I would say St. Mary's no. Obviously Randy's amazing, but they lost a lot and we'll see. But the computer numbers are not encouraging connected to St. Mary's heading into this season. Georgia, I've got Georgia missing as a 9 seed last season, miss it this season. And then I've got a list of others who are like on the fence, but I would have them all projected in right now in an 87 team tournament. They'd make it. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Missouri, Clemson, keep an eye on Clemson.
Get them out.
I might say Clemson might be out. Maryland, I just told you I think they're in, so I can't say that. But
I need for the record. St. Mary's, Georgia, Clemson. Is that it?
Baylor's another candidate.
Are
Totally
they in or are they out?
In. I'm not picking against Scott Drew.
Exactly.
I'm not picking against.
Exactly. So you have 3. That's 3. I've got 4, and I don't like it.
Road to Joy. You think I'm going to pick against a Road to Joy? I'm not picking against the Road to Joy. So Baylor's in.
Okay.
You want one to keep an eye on? Memphis, 5 seed last season.
I know.
I think they're going to be the best team in the American, which says nothing other than you're the best of a bad. But they just played 2 SEC schools in exhibitions and lost the games by an average of 26.5 points. So, woo.
I know. I got them in. I've only got 4. I got Maryland 4 seed. I don't have them getting there under Buzz in year 1. I don't have A&M getting there. So Buzz is 2 schools I don't have getting in there. Clemson and then Georgia. I don't love that I only have 4, but those are the only 4 that I could get to. And that's where I sit. I guess technically, I think by ranking, the closest team that I have is Missouri, but I think Missouri's getting there. Missouri returns, I think, more production in starting lineup than any other team in the SEC. So I have them getting there. Okay, the next one's not easy, but here's the deal. The past 3 years, there were a total of 13 teams ranked in the preseason that didn't make the NCAA tournament. And if you go back to 2012 GP, on average, the preseason AP Top 25 has 4 teams that don't make the tournament. So a year ago, Indiana, Cincinnati, and Rutgers. A year ago at this time, those were all preseason ranked teams. Indiana, Cincinnati, Rutgers, they didn't get in. Year before that, Miami, Arkansas, USC, and Villanova were all ranked in the preseason AP Top 25. None of them got in. So I am forcing you to pick 3 teams. I already know Creighton is one of them because it's the only preseason AP Top 20 that you don't have in your Top 25 and 1. I will give you mine first, but before I do that, last year, you actually did okay for yourself when I forced you to do 3. You said Kentucky, Rutgers, and Cincinnati. You went 2 for 3. Kentucky was a big miss, but Rutgers and Cincinnati didn't dance. I went Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Rutgers, so I was only 1 for 3 with Rutgers, A&M, and the Rebels danced there. My teams this year, Wisconsin. I'm not happy about these picks. Let me be clear, okay? I'm just trying to guess, and there's always surprises. I will say Wisconsin. I will say Creighton. And I will reluctantly say Auburn under this idea that they have a head coaching change and it just does. And, it's Pettiford and Keyshawn Hall. They're fine, but they don't hit. I think Auburn's going. They're going to be a single-digit seed. But the point is you have to pick 3. Those are my 3. What are your 3?
I tell you, if Auburn gets to play Memphis every game, they're going to be all right.
That's right. Unfortunately, that's not what the schedule provides.
Okay. Just checking. That is, with all due respect to Steven, that is the place to look if you wanted to look there, because you just don't know, you just don't know. You're right. Creighton is the only team in the AP Top 25 that's not in my Top 25 and 1. So I'll start the list with them. And then I'll just take number 26 and 25 out of the Top 25 and 1, because I guess by definition that makes, but what this is evidence of is I don't believe any of this. Now I know
it's going to be wrong though.
I know there are teams in the Top 25 that are not going to make the NCAA tournament. I know that. I'm just saying I would bet on every one of these too. And I would just, I'd miss on some, but I would bet on I believe in all these teams. But if I've got to pick 3, because you made me, Creighton, Wisconsin, North Carolina.
Okay. Creighton, Wisconsin, North Carolina. There you go. Honestly, Parrish, that's conceivable. It doesn't seem like outrageous, to be honest. I think you're fine there. Next one we actually talked about in a previous show, just a reset for formal purposes here. Over under on non-Power 5 bids. I actually set the over under on 4.5. Yeah. A year ago, I also set it at 4.5. GP had 4. You hit it exactly. I said 8.
Samsonite. I was way off.
8.
I was way off.
8.
I said 8 non-Power 5 teams would get at-large bids. And again,
Samsonite. I was way off.
You ready for this? That will never happen again.
Well, with your 80-team tournament, maybe we've got a chance. I don't know. So with that in mind, we've already done this one. GP said 4 for this season, and I said 5. We talked about that on a recent show, but wanted to officially reset that to here. I love doing this one. Last undefeated team of the season. A year ago, Parrish.
I think I said UConn would never lose again. Wasn't I on a thing where I said UConn would never lose? Well, I got tired of getting bullied. between no escalators and everybody else, and UConn fans were having a time with me. And I just said, fine. All right. What do you guys want to hear? That you'll never lose another game? Fine. You'll never lose another game.
I think that's a squirrel.
Yeah, they got dropped by Memphis and Maui. I said Arizona. So hold on.
Wrong.
They lost their third game of the year at Wisconsin. Arizona did. Credit to Parrish. I think 2 years ago he nailed this. Okay, so last unbeaten team this season. You go first.
I went through this.
Oh, so did I. This is the one every year where I'm like 20 minutes in. I'm like, pick a team, you idiot.
This is like I'm like exact same thing. It's like I've been scrolling schedules for 20 minutes, and I'm like, this cannot be a good use of my time. I went with UCLA.
Oh, look at you. Did you really?
Okay. The Bruins famously are not really traveling east at all. All right. They open with 3 bye games. Then they get Arizona and Inglewood on November 14th. Now I got to win the game, right? But I've got UCLA ahead of Arizona.
Yes.
I mean, I got to win the game, but I'm in Inglewood. And I've got UCLA I've got UCLA ahead of Arizona.
I won't do that again.
Yeah, calm down. All right. This is how we go viral for bad reasons. So we got to win the game against Arizona on Inglewood. Then they're at Washington on December 3rd. True road game. That can get, true road games are true road games.
Yeah.
But like I got them there.
You just call it a road game, by the way. There's no such thing as a fake road game.
Yes, there are fake road games. In
Or
Kentucky,
Kentucky
Kentucky plays them.
Okay.
Yeah, Kentucky plays fake road games. They play Gonzaga and Spokane. Call it a road game. It's fake road games.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, no. There's true road games. That's like what most teams do, and then Kentucky sometimes does fake road games.
Okay.
So at Washington, true road game, not a fake one.
Yeah.
And then at Gonzaga, but that's in Seattle, so you don't have to go to the kennel. 12-13. I'm asking them to win some like coin flippy situations, but outside of Arizona and Inglewood, at Washington, and against Gonzaga in Seattle, I know when you say something like this, then they just lose a bye game to Long Beach State or something. I got it. Yep. But there's just not a lot of places for them to take losses if they perform to their capabilities. And so I've got them undefeated through the end of the calendar year, with their first loss coming at Iowa on January 3rd.
Okay.
With Caitlin Clark in attendance.
Sure, why not? Trivia time. Last time.
By the way, we're coming back to this. If we get to January 3rd and Caitlin Clark sitting courtside, and there's a court storming in Carver Hawkeye, we're going to have to circle back to this.
We're circling back to this in like 2 weeks when UCLA has already got a loss on the board. So yes, we're circling back to this. Who was I actually didn't mention earlier. Do you know the team that went the longest without a loss last season?
I don't recall.
It was Tennessee, first loss on January 7th, but Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Drake all got to New Year's morning, January 1, without a loss, and then they all proceeded to lose in that week. Neither of us obviously guessed Tennessee a year ago. This is not my team that I'm going to pick, but the one that I would say to watch for is BYU. Watch it lose to Villanova. But if they got UConn and Boston, so that's going to be tricky. But they get Wisconsin and Salt Lake City. They get Clemson on a neutral. They actually have a path. Like their first road game is at K-State on January 3. Then they're home to Arizona State, at Utah, which might not be good, home to TCU, and then they're at Texas Tech January 17th. I don't think they're getting to January 17th without a loss. But when you look at the overall schedule, they actually have a path there. I didn't pick them, though. I am going to go with Michigan, which is a fraught choice. Basically, Michigan and Houston were the final two that I looked at. They're both in the Players Era tournament. There are so many good teams there. This is quite obviously stupid to do so. But Michigan has Wake Forest at TCU, obviously a winnable road game. They get San Diego State and Auburn in their first two Players Era games, but I think they're better than those teams. I think Michigan's going to be a top 5 team this season, and with the idea that maybe they wouldn't have to play Houston, or maybe Houston wouldn't have to play Michigan, that's what I ultimately landed on. Because if they can get whoever gets out of Players Era as the champ, is going to be well set up. Because then Michigan's got home Rutgers, home Nova, at Maryland. I think they're better than Maryland. I think they'll win that. Then they're LaSalle, McNeese, home USC, at Penn State, home Wisconsin, at Washington, January 14th. So officially, my guess is Michigan. both of these will prove to be stupid, I'm sure, within 2 weeks' time. But it's always fun to try and project it every year. I just hope we get to January 1 with at least one team without a loss there. Okay.
I made a rule. Like I eliminated for this question all the players era teams.
I know. That's why I almost went BYU, but I thought, man, the team that comes out of there, if it's like a top 10 team, they're actually going to have a healthy shot. But I just wanted to get it because anybody in that event can lose a game reasonably, without a doubt. Yep. It was stupid by me, and I'm gonna flame out on that, no doubt. All right, John Scheyer, tie with Brad Stevens and Brad Underwood for the most wins, which is 89 through the first 3 seasons to start a head coaching career. Scheyer needs 29 wins in order to pass Brad Stevens' mark of 116 through the first 4 years, or I guess 117 through the first 4 years of his career. Will John Scheyer get 29 wins with Duke this season to become the winningest 4-year coach to ever start a D1 men's coaching career?
Yes, and I think he'll do it by multiple games.
I actually said yes to, and I think he hits 30. I'm going to say he gets to 30, and Duke finishes like 30-6 or 30-7 overall. But I will say he does do it. If you want the full list, first 4 seasons: Stevens 117, Tommy Lloyd 112, Shaka Smart 111, and Brad Underwood 109. Those are the winningest coaches in the history of men's D1 to start their careers. Scheyer is almost certainly going to be second on the list. I guess if things went super sideways, he wouldn't pass Lloyd, but I don't think that's on the board. Keep him moving here.
Yeah, well, just real quick. His team is too talented, and that league still isn't good enough to cause them too many problems. Like Ken Pom has them in the regular season projected to finish 24-7, but if you go individual games, they're only a projected underdog one time, and that will be on the 5-year anniversary of the Capitol storming, January 6th, Duke at Louisville. That's the only. So I think they're going to be better than 24-7 in the regular season. They should play 3 games in the ACC tournament. You know, that can always get weird, but something like 26 wins in the regular season, win another 2 or 3 in the ACC tournament, and then, go to the Elite 8 and you're there. Yes, I think John Scheyer ends this season with more wins than any other coach in the history of men's college basketball through his first 4 years.
A year ago, we thought Cam Jones was going to arguably maybe be one of the best scorers in the country. We debated how many 40-point games for him. You said 2. I said 3. He didn't get a game above 32. With that in mind, Braden Smith, he led D1 with 313 assists last season. He is 319 shy of Bobby Hurley. So we had 313 a year ago. He needs 319 to set the NCAA record. How many assists does Bobby Hurley will not have any assists. How many assists does Braden Smith get this season? I have my exact number.
Well, I don't have an exact number, but let me give you some math on it so that listeners can understand like what we're talking about to get him where he needs to get.
Okay.
He needs 319 to break the record. Last year he averaged 8.7 assists per game. 8.7 per season would be awful. 8.7 a game would be terrible. All right. 8.7 per game. So you just do the math on that. He needs to play 37 games and have the same number of assists per game, and that gets him there. I'm going to say yes, because I'd like to root for it. I should say, like at the beginning of this episode, we were talking about the biggest storylines heading into the season that we're excited about. And it's like Rick Pitino trying to win a 3rd title in 3rd different school, and Kelvin and Matt trying to get their first, and UConn trying to get 3 or 4, Florida trying to go back to back, Peterson, DeBance, and Boozer. Braden Smith's got a chance to break one of the big NCAA records of all time that has been held for a long time by one of the most iconic college basketball players of all time. Like, so that's another and what is the point of saying no? I don't think he'll get it, and then I'm rooting against.
Just trying to guess what's going to happen. I'm saying no, he's not going to get it. I want him to, but my guess is no.
I want to say yes, and so I'm going to say yes. But I think if you found this like as a prop bet at FanDuel, like if Terry Rozier logged in, if Terry Rozier logged in, like if Terry Rozier logged in and he could find a prop bet. Will Braden Smith break Bobby Hurley's all-time assist record? I think he would be an underdog to do it if you accept the term. And the reason is they're obvious. First, to get there, he's got to go 8.7 for 37 games. That means he has to stay healthy. All right. That means he has to be great. And it means Purdue's got to play deep into the tournament. And there's just a lot of variables that – oh, and by the way, deep into the Big Ten tournament too. You lose your first Big Ten tournament game, it could wipe it out.
That's right.
The opportunity. So I just think I'm going to say yes, but I recognize that if we put this in a prop bet and let Chauncey Billups get a hold of it, then yeah, he would probably be an underdog because there's too many things that could go wrong.
Also, if Purdue is like really, really, really good, Smith could spend more time on the bench near the end of games because he doesn't need to be on the floor.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm saying no, reluctantly, but I'll say he gets at 302, 11 shy, and whatever his last game is, it ends with the idea that if he had one more game, he might have had a chance to maybe get it. But I'm going to say he is shy. A year ago, we talked about Cooper Flagg because he had some really good exhibitions, and I set the over under for his combined points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks at 32.5. We both took the under. That one's on me. I was wrong. It was 33.7, 19.2 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1.4 blocks per game for Cooper Flagg. Adds up to 33.7. He actually cleared my preseason over-under. So with that in mind, I have 3 different over-unders for Peterson, Boozer, and DeBanza. We'll go Peterson first. It was 32.5 a year ago for Flagg. I'm going to set the same exact over-under, 32.5 for Peterson. Now, keep in mind, GP, Peterson probably won't have as many blocks per game as Flagg. He could have more steals per game, might not have as many rebounds, could have more points, probably will have more assists. I actually had a hard time trying to come up with the number, but whatever. I'm going to say 32.5 combined in the 5 major statistical categories, over or under for Darren Peterson.
Over. I think he's going to be somewhere like, I know I've thrown out numbers like, what if he averages 30 a game? Just for some context here, some of the best freshmen, like Kevin Durant averaged 26 points a game.
Yes.
Michael Beasley was also 26. Zion Williamson was 22.6. I think Peterson's going to be in that 25-26 range.
This is going to be way low if he does. And I almost put this up at like 34.5, but I was like, Flagg was awesome last year and didn't get to 34. So that's why I said
I think Peterson's going to outscore Flagg by a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the points is how you do it. Okay, Cameron Boozer, a twofer here. Yeah, 24 and 23 against Tennessee in an exhibition. So the twofer is I'm setting the over-under at his double-doubles at 27.5. Okay, and Yaxel, I think, led the country last year, and he might have had 26, I think. That's off the top of my head. I didn't look that up before the pod. And then over-under, this is outrageous, but I actually think it needs to be on the board. So over-under 27.5 double-doubles. Over under 1.5 25-25 games for Cameron Boozer this year.
25-25 is crazy.
Right? I know. But he got 24 and 23 against Tennessee, and they've got bye game opponents and terrible teams at the bottom.
Yeah, but in those bye games, he ain't going to be on the court enough to get 25-25.
Fair enough. Okay.
I'd say under. He's not going to get they're multiple 25-25 games. That's crazy. I mean, he clearly can do it, but I would bet the under. In terms of the double doubles, over. I mean, it's hard to imagine him it's hard to imagine him playing a game and not getting a double double.
I know. I agree with you. I will say over, but I'm actually going to say 28 is my number. My over under usually I'm going to be 1 up or 1 down. That's why I make the over under what it is. I'll say Boozer finishes with 28 double doubles. That could prove to be like 5 games too low, but I'll say 28. And then I will also say under, but I'm going to say that Cameron Boozer will have at least one game this season where he has at least 25 points and 25 rebounds, which in a 40-minute college game is outrageous, but he is that important and he is that prominent around the rim and that reliable of a scorer that it's on the board.
Just to revisit this stuff, Kevin Durant averaged 25.8 points and 11.1 rebounds. And then the very next year, Michael Beasley was 26.2 points and 12.4 rebounds. Beasley was more points and more rebounds per game than Durant. Yeah. Most people don't remember it that way at all. But different players, all that stuff, but like, Cam Boozer strikes me as the type of freshman who could be Beasley-like productive.
Yeah, could definitely see it. DeBanza, another twofer. Over under 7.5 games of 30-plus points, and then over under 23.5 points per game for DeBanza on a BYU team that's going to have other scoring options. 23.5 a game, and then 7.5 games where he gets at least 30.
I think it's hard to be at 23.5 with so many other scores around you. I think you take him and put him on Kansas's team and take Peterson, put him at BYU, and he can go get that at Kansas. I think there's just better pieces around him at BYU, and it's hard to get to that number. I'd go under that number.
Under on both then. Under 7.5 games of 30+ points.
I mean, that's a lot. Jeez. But
I know, but I mean,
but
he was in third gear and dropped 30 on Nebraska in an exhibition.
Do I think he's going to have multiple 30-point games? Yes.
Yes.
But 8 of them? I mean, 8's a lot.
I know. Some of my thoughts on this question is affected by the fact that I've seen Peterson now. Granted, it's against high level recruits, but they're also high school players. Just he has a certain dominant scoring streak in him. Well, I think that Peterson. I think that DeBansa, if he does put it all together, he will lead the NBA in scoring at some point. So that's kind of why I come at it from this angle. But I agree with you. I'm going to go under on both. Fewer than 7.5 games worth 30+ points and under 23.5 points per game. But there's a very realistic possibility where, as great as Richie Saunders and Rob Wright are, if it really hits and he's going and they work it, like him averaging 25 and having 8 games like that, that's certainly possible. All right, a few more. We don't have to worry about the Gonzaga Sweet 16 streak predictions because those are over. It ended last season. But this is a trivia time. Which school has the longest streak now that Gonzaga's streak is over? How many consecutive NCAA tournaments making the Sweet 16?
Ugh.
The answer is 6.
Is it? I don't think I'm going to have a great answer for this, but I'll say it's not Duke because they missed it that one year.
It's not Duke. It's not that hard of a guess.
Sweet 16, 6 straight years.
Yep, 6 straight tournaments. No 2020.
6 straight tournaments. I got it. I don't know.
Houston.
Houston. I was going to say it. Houston's
done it.
Yeah.
By the way, credit to our producer Debo here on this episode. Mike Beasley had a 32 and 24 game and a 28 and 22 game, but he never had a 25 and 25.
Okay, interesting.
It's
that's just those are hard numbers.
I know they are.
There's a massive difference.
I know.
Like, even though it doesn't sound like it, huge difference between 25-25 and 20-20.
It is. I completely agree with you. Over under. So the next longest after Houston is Tennessee and Alabama, 3 consecutive Sweet 16. So the only 3 schools that have made at least 3 in a row. Over under 2.5 of those teams making the Sweet 16 in 2026. Houston, Alabama, Tennessee.
Houston, Alabama, Tennessee. I think I would have let me look at the top 25 and 1, but I think I have all of them preseason. No, I have Tennessee a little lower.
Okay. Take the under?
Yeah, let's go under.
I also take the under. I'm going to say 2 out of the 3, but those are the only 3 schools that have made the Sweet 16 in the past 3 tournaments. A year ago, we asked, will UConn make the Sweet 16? We both said yes. Nope, did not. We asked, will UConn make a 3rd straight Final Four? GP said no. He was right. I said yes. I was wrong. This year, will Florida get back to the Final Four GP in 2026? My answer is no.
My answer is also no, but they are good enough to do it. They are equipped to do it. This is not, I guess by definition, anytime a school wins a national championship, you can head into the next year talking about, and they have a chance to go back to back because you do. Like, by definition, you got a chance. But they're not always realistic chances. I think Florida has a realistic chance to be a back-to-back champion, but I will not predict it.
2 more. Last season, not a single non-power conference team made the Sweet 16. It's the first time ever. Will at least 2 teams from outside the Power 5 leagues make the Sweet 16 in 2026, Gary Parrish?
No.
I'm like you with Braden Smith. I'm saying yes, and I want to believe. Now, we usually get it. We usually get at least 1. We've had 2, 3, and 4 in recent seasons. I will say at least 2 find a way to break through. And again, this is teams that aren't in the Power 5, so the Power 4 football plus on Big East. I will say yes. GP will say no. Would you say 1?
I guess just because like St. Peter's can happen, right? I mean, like there's usually going to be.
Clearly don't think St. Mary's can happen, so yeah.
There's usually 1, but I don't think Cinderella is dead, but I think she's in the hospital. She ain't feeling so well, you know.
I think you're in the state.
My issue with the mid-majors going forward is an advantage that they could sometimes have over the high majors is like real continuity. Like, these guys have been together for a couple of years, and it was 4 returning starters from the team last, and they just don't get that at the mid-major level. They're getting their teams picked apart every year, And so you lose some of the stuff that allowed you to make some of those runs throughout history. And I think it's not going to be non-existent, but I do think it's going to be harder to come by. Do you disagree?
I do, because the tournament it's just got the ability to allow these teams to break through in those win or go home scenarios. And I do think that it will reemerge again, specifically because of the way that the tournament is formatted. And I think
maybe, but like, here's my larger point. Like, just think of a great run Davidson with Steph Curry. In the year 2025, I'm not sure Steph Curry is at Davidson as a sophomore.
Yeah, I understand.
To even be a part of something like that. Like, the Steph Curry who led Davidson to the Elite Eight would now be playing at Duke. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I know.
And
but the teams are still in the tournament and they get their shot. So that's like, I just think the math would suggest it's still,
but Davidson without Steph Curry is a different thing.
It is. Well, I mean, there's been like literally one Steph Curry ever. So yes, I understand what you're saying. Last one. Last year's midway point of the season was January 19th. I asked, will we see a firing before then?
There's been 4 AC laws.
What?
You said there's only been one Steph Curry, and I was like, but there's been 4 AC laws.
Okay. AC law. Yeah. It sounded like you said AC loyals there.
No, 4 AC laws. There's just a lot of AC laws out there, you know?
There have been. Okay. A year ago, we said we would not see a coaching firing before January 19th. Technically, we were correct, but I don't want to give us the win because Larinaga resigned the day after Christmas. And I remember that because I was at my in-laws' house and it suddenly was like, I gotta go to the guest room and go work for another hour because Jim Larinaga decided he's going to stop coaching the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
He wasn't fired, but we did have a power conference job change. The midway point of this season is also January 19th. So yes or no, will we have a high major coaching change by then? And I'm not including this to be like a Mike Woodson, he's leaving. I'm saying the guy who is on the bench to start the season is no longer in games sitting there. Will we have one by the midway point at the power conference level?
I will say no.
You will say no, and I will tell you this. I checked in with our good buddy Chip Patterson. I said, Chip, got a podcast in a couple of hours. How many high major coaches have been broken off?
It's like in football,
He said it's 8. It's technically 9 if you count Stanford, but that was last spring. I said, no, let's just go from the start of the season. And it's 8, including Hugh Freeze literally today.
Yeah.
It is so, and football is different than basketball, but it is so volatile that I'm of two minds on this, Parrish. Because on one hand, you can't tell me that some of this isn't going to seep down to basketball. In some ways, it already has when I tell you that 55 of the 79 high major jobs have changed over in the past 4.5 years, okay? 55 out of 79. Some of those are retirements. Some of those are promotions. Many of them are firings. But in the ACC, the only ones that haven't are Virginia Tech, Pitt, and Clemson. In the SEC, the only ones now are Alabama and Tennessee. The only ones in the Big East are UConn and Creighton. The only ones in the Big 12 are Kansas, Houston, Colorado, TCU, Arizona State, Baylor, and UCF. And we know there's a few hot seat situations there. And in the Big 10, you've got Michigan State, Purdue, Wisconsin, UCLA, Illinois, Oregon, Rutgers, Northwestern, and Nebraska. If I mention your school in the past 45 seconds, it means you're the only ones that haven't had a coaching change since 2020, 2021, and beyond there. I am also going to say no, but it is a reluctant no because the winds of the college landscape and the environment and the absolute insanity that is happening are not stopping any college football programs from just bailing ship midway through the season. I don't think we'll have it, but I won't be surprised if we do. But officially, my answer is no.
My answer is no. The most obvious way we would get it is somebody steps away. Same thing Jim did. Like, I'm on my way out. This isn't going well. I don't want to come to work tomorrow. Somebody else can do this.
Yeah.
We might get one of those, I guess. But one of the things I noticed about, I don't want to say the only, but the most likely type of program that would pull the trigger midseason is one that cares immensely, right? Like they and at the schools that have coaches on the so-called hot seat where they care immensely, like some of them, they're alums who are the coaches. Like, I don't know if Hubert Davis is going to make it to next season, but would they pull the trigger on him in January? No, I don't think so. I mean, if they had a quick trigger over there, they'd already pulled it on Belichick.
It's actually a good question, though. Like
my other one, Adrian Autry at Syracuse. You really going to do an alum in the middle of January?
You wouldn't think so,
Right.
but these are like the idea that James Franklin would be fired in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even with all of his success, like there's actually some Franklin Hubert parallels. Franklin's not
what this is the difference between football and basketball. I think what happened to James Franklin I don't think would happen in basketball. You've been there, you've done
yes
well.
No, but like
preseason top 5 team and you're done middle of the season. That's hard.
The last time it happened, like when Turgeon left, he wasn't fired. It was ugly. Like it was ugly with Penn State and Franklin, but those
and Chris Mack was weird.
Chris Mack actually is the answer. I think he left under his own accord. Even like Beard getting fired is an entirely different set of circumstances at Texas. We don't see it as much.
And then a lot of these guys, they will have buyouts that like drop significantly if you wait for a certain date. So there's another reason not to do it in December or January, because you can maybe save $5 million by waiting till the end. So I just think there's a lot of reasons that are lying where you're hesitant to do it or just not even willing to do it. And so I would bet no, but as always, we'll see. I've been surprised before.
That's going to do it on the prediction angle. I mean, 90 plus minutes here. We wanted to make good on you. I actually have a few more bold predictions, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to save those. I'll turn the phone around on me and I'll send them. I'll put them out on Twitter. Maybe I'll send them to our social team as well, or the Eye on College Basketball Twitter account. I just got 10 random bold predictions, but that's going to be some bonus content. We'll run it there on Monday morning. I don't want to bog down the podcast anymore. Before we get out of here, we do though need to spend a minute here, or even more than that, giving someone some real deserved love. GP.
That's right. I think most of you know, because Nada announced it on social media. Our producer for years now, Kanata Edwards, at Paramount last week. Unfortunately, we had company-wide layoffs, and that's always a scary day and an awful day. And we lost some team members at CBS Sports. I won't name additional names because I never know who's comfortable with that and who's not. So I'll let everybody say what they want, but Nada's been public with it. And yeah, that was a tough phone call. I think we all knew, because it was well reported in advance, that Paramount was going to go through this. And, I was surprised when I heard the news, and also, that's a hard thing to hear about a colleague and a friend. The world's a weird place right now, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and, families are facing real challenges in ways that maybe they haven't previously. And, to have Nada get caught up in that, and somebody who had, spent years with us, developing a rapport with us, a relationship with us, and to have that news delivered, it was just that was a tough day. You and I have both kept in touch with him over the past couple of days. He's handling it as well as you can handling it, and seems to be doing well. But yeah, we can't overstate what he meant to us, what he meant to this show, and quite literally. We can set our microphones up and stuff, but you have to have a producer to do this type of stuff. And it's always helpful when you have one who is capable, you've heard me say stuff like this before. I need to plan this show, do this show, and then I need to close this computer when we're done and get on to other things. And that's where a quality producer comes into play. And Nada was always there to get the episode where it needed to be as quickly as possible, and then help us along the way. In terms of trying to create a compelling product. So like I told him, these are always days you dread, news nobody wants to hear. And if somebody were saying this to me, if I found myself in a similar situation, I don't know that I would be able to accept it. But just trust me, this is true. Whether you're not a listen or anybody else out there who goes through something like this, I'm not going to try to sunshine it. It's not ideal, but I could spend the next hour telling you stories about people I know who got that phone call, got that email, and were laid off of work. And it feels like this is the worst day of your life. And when you look back on it, it can be the best day or one of the best because it opened a door to something else. It led to something new. And I trust that Nada's gonna have that experience. What happened last week wasn't good, but I am I'm hopeful and confident that when we look back 5 years from now, he's going to be in a good place, and we'll look back on this and go, man, that was a wild week, wasn't it? But now look, and so we wish him well, and we're going to miss him around here.
On your note about layoffs, my wife, some years ago, it just completely came out of nowhere. And I mean, it can be world rocking. But she likes the job she has now more than she liked the job she had then, but she likes the one she has now more, and for many reasons. But the day it happened and the ensuing days after, and searching for a job, and there are people in the chat that said, they've recently had to go through this as well. It's awful. You can hop back in GP if you want. Go ahead. Are you gonna say something? No.
I was listening.
Okay. It's just it's not fun. It's not easy. And yes, it was definitely a sideswipe. Nada joined us leading into the 2021-22 season. So he was with us for 4 years and helped make the show the bigger, better version that it had ever been. Like, he was on board just as we became the first college basketball podcast to ever go to video. That's the show right here. And he did care a ton about it. He knows that GP and I also care a ton about the podcast as well. And yeah, it was not fun. I will say he handled it amazingly well, and I have already asked him, and he is fine with me disclosing this, but he is going through a truly life-changing week. He has signed the paperwork. He and his wife have adopted their first child in the past couple of days, and so the one silver lining to all of this is he is very much looking forward to having nothing to take him away from being a first-time father. We wish nothing but the best to Kanata and his wife and their new girl. I've seen pictures. Yeah. And it's really just, it's an incredible thing, and truly an unforgettable week for him and his family. But I want to thank him as well. We could have easily done this at the top of the show, but wanted to save all this for the end there, because he deserves it. And frankly, Nada, you're welcome for not having to sit through more than an hour and 40 minutes of a College Basketball Eve podcast. I know you will land on your feet and do tremendous things. And if anyone by chance is listening to the show and has actually made it to the end here and happens to work in the media space and is in search of someone that does production work, he is still willing and wanting to stay in the industry, stay in the business. Feel free to reach out to me, to reach out to Parrish. Would be more than happy to have a conversation about him. But he's going to be fine. Not a fun week whatsoever. Don't like losing him whatsoever. We will have we've been able to shift and stuff, and so come Wednesday we will have a new producer, and the show will go on, and we'll try and continue to make it as great a show as hopefully we've had before, but not an easy week whatsoever for us. And obviously, we work at a very, very big company. The layoffs were very publicly known. We were hoping they wouldn't affect our team. That's just not how it went, and so Nada will be very much missed on the show, but look forward to keeping in touch with him. And he was actually supposed to go to the Texas Duke game, but he's out of the state, adopting their child. So he will now not be there, which is the best reason ever. I was like, you got to go to the game, because he wasn't actually anticipating. I don't want to get too nuts into, but he actually thought he would be able to go to the game before the adoption process happened. But babies are going to make their way into the world when they make their way into the world. And so now he's got the best reason ever to just embark on fatherhood. And I can't wait to see what kind of dad he becomes. Just to make sure you understand what Norlander's saying, laid off on one day, go to get a baby the next. That's where we're at. It's incredible. Yes, it's just absolutely wild. Nada is watching as we are watching. He is texting Parrish and I. This is not your funeral, buddy. No. These are the flowers that you deserve, and we were insistent, as long as you were comfortable with it, to making sure that we did this. And also, frankly, and we can wrap up. And as I go to my frequent coda here, we can wrap up the show any minute you want here. I just don't think it would be fair or frankly appropriate to our audience to just not acknowledge him and not acknowledge the fact that we are having a shift in producers, and the show on some level is going to have some changes. I know sometimes podcasts can have change in producers, and how those shows handle it is how they handle it. But it would not have been right to at least pay some homage here to the guy that became the first full-time producer that wasn't me to actually take those reins. It's a big thing. We care a ton about the show, but we love you, buddy, and can't wait to some way, someday, somehow meet your baby girl.
Yeah, just to highlight again something Norlander said, if you are working in this industry and you have something that might make sense or think you might have something that might make sense, reach out. I've already shared Nada's contact with multiple people, and I'll be happy to share it again. Let's get out of here. Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Terry Teagle. He's a legend. Huck Larnell. Thank you guys once again for watching and listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. There's more of us than there are of them. That should be reflected in the comments.
Before we get out of here, two things. One, let's make this the longest episode of the entire season, please.
Please, God, please.
I know. Two, I hope everyone enjoyed just how in-depth it was, because this really reflects on how excited we are for the season start. And three, just a scheduling template. Our plan for the near future, so people realize this, particularly for YouTube, on Wednesdays and Fridays, our target will be 9:45 a.m. Eastern. No, that is not a round number at the top of the hour. There are scheduling things that are affecting that, but we want to be able to give you typically a full hour show, not an hour 45, but just be aware. Sunday nights, we float a little bit. On the East Coast, it's around dinner time, generally speaking. Wednesdays and Fridays, until GP gets into that CBS Sports Network schedule, we'll see how it goes there. But I think if we can do things the way we are and are on our own road to joy, 9:45 a.m. Eastern, we will talk to you again then, to talk everything Monday and Tuesday night. Parrish is now holding up different books with different basketball figures on them. I don't know what's happening, but just keep it heads up. If you want to watch us live, 9:45 a.m. Eastern on Wednesdays and Fridays. And of course, always never miss a Sunday show.
Let's get out of here. We'll see you next time. Till then, take care.